India Legal presents Courts Roundup.
Calling the alleged rape and murder of a Dalit woman in Hathras extraordinary and shocking, the Supreme Court has asked the Uttar Pradesh government to file an affidavit on how witnesses were being protected in the case and whether the victim's family has got a lawyer. The court was hearing a petition seeking probe by the CBI or a special investigation team headed by a sitting or retired Supreme Court or High Court judge, Chief Justice of India S.A. Bobde. The matter has been adjourned for next week.
The Supreme Court has directed the state of Uttar Pradesh to file an affidavit stipulating witness protection plan for the family and witnesses of the 19-year-old woman who was allegedly gang raped by 4 upper caste men in Hathras district of Uttar Pradesh. A bench of Chief Justice S.A. Bobde, A.S. Bopanna and V. Ramasubramaniam also asked the Solicitor General appearing for the state of UP to find out whether the victim's family had chosen a lawyer for representation. The bench further asked all parties appearing before the court to put forth suggestions as to the scope of the Allahabad High Court proceedings and how the top court can make them more relevant. Before the case was taken up by top court, the UP government had filed an affidavit in the Supreme Court asking it to order a CBI inquiry into the Hathras case. This was to ensure that a fair and impartial investigation takes place by a central agency which is not within the administrative control of the state administration. In this context, Solicitor General Tushar Mehta informed the court that the UP government was not taking an adversarial stand in the present case. It urged the court to take note of the narratives that were being spread in relation to the unfortunate case by various stakeholders. I appear for the state of UP. I am not opposing the petition. Let us not sensationalize the death of a young girl. Investigation must be fair and impartial. Your lordships must supervise the investigation and the purpose of it must not be lost. Senior advocate Indra Jaising, appearing for one of the interveners, urged the court to provide witness protection to the family of the girl in terms of the stipulated provisions of the SC/ST Act. Further, Jaising requested for an SIT appointed by the court. Family has expressed that they are not satisfied with the CBI to take up the case. She added, at this juncture, Chief Justice of India S.A. Bobde asked Jaising what her locus was in the present case, which was a criminal case. We are hearing you because this is a shocking incident, but we are still pondering over your locus in this case, said the CJI. While Solicitor General informed the court that the family of the victim had already been provided adequate police protection, the CJI insisted that the same be brought on record before the top court. Advocate Kirti Singh, appearing for 100 women lawyers, submitted, we would like the supervision of the court in this case. While there may not be legitimacy as being the petitioner's family, but we are paying, she said. Advocate Pradeep Kumar Yadav added that he was appearing for the women of the society at large. To this, the CJI replied, please understand that we are in no way condoning the incident. It is a horrible incident, but the question is, how many similar arguments should we hear? Please understand that there is no need to duplicate concerns in the court of law. Court of law need not hear the same argument by every party. This is not a comment on the incident. Please understand our point of view. Solicitor General then informed the court that the case was being sensationalized and that there was recording by a reporter instigating the family of the victim to give a particular account in a particular manner for the news purposes. Advocate Shobha Gupta submitted that court must stipulate guidelines and protocols for disposal of dead bodies. This incident has shocked the very conscience of civilization, she added. CJI Bobre said that the Solicitor General was not taking an adversarial stand in the said plea. All interveners and petitioners may put forth their suggestions to him. In this context, the matter was listed for 1 week thereafter. The plea had further sought a transfer of matter from Uttar Pradesh to Delhi, alleging failure of the state government to take action against the accused persons. As per news reports, on September 14, a 19-year-old Dalit woman was abducted and then gang raped by 4 uppercastemen who then subjected her to brutal torture by breaking her bones and cutting off her tongue. She passed away on Tuesday, the 29th of September, and was cremated by police officials in the middle of the night without the consent of her family. It was submitted in the petition filed by Advocate Sanjeev Malhotra on behalf of social activist Satyama Dubey that the statement of the police that the cremation was carried out as per the wishes of the family is false. As the police personnel himself buried the dead body of the deceased, even media personnel has also been blamed as per the information received. The plea underlies the issue that the police authorities have not performed their duties and are shielding the accused. Additionally, the family of the victim is being victimized by upper caste persons. The plea contends that the petitioner herein is demanding justice for the victim for the brutal attack, rape and murder of the victim. In view of the same, it seeks for directions to the Union of India and other concerned authorities for a fair investigation and to transfer the same to CBI to form an SIT under a sitting or retired judge of the Supreme Court or High Court. Lastly, it prays for transfer of trial from Hathras, Uttar Pradesh to Delhi and for an order for speedy trial. Bureau Report.
The Uttar Pradesh government has filed an affidavit with the Supreme Court in which it has claimed that the permission was taken from the family of the Hathras victim before cremation. The government has also claimed that the families in the question had personal enmity since a long time. This was in reply to a petition filed by social activist Satyama Dubey on September 30th, which sought the transfer of the case to the CBI or an SIT, which is monitored by the top court, or at least a high court. The plea has also sought transfer of the case from UP to Delhi. This was in reply to a petition filed by social activist Satyama Dubey on 30th of September, which sought the transfer of the case to the CBI or an SIT, which is monitored by the top court or at least a high court. The plea had also sought transfer of the case from UP to Delhi. The government then goes on to distance itself from the controversy, saying the victim was cremated in presence of the family members who agreed to attend to prevent further violence. This was in complete contradiction to what media allegedly saw and reported. A PIL has been filed in the Supreme Court praying for reforms in law dealing with cases of rape with grievous injuries and for the Apex Court's guidelines on protection of identity of victims to be implemented. The petition has been filed by 2 lawyers in light of the gruesome Hathras gang rape, which was followed by several other incidents of sexual violence against women getting reported. It is pointed out that though criminal laws were amended in 2013, the same are not implemented on the ground level. Despite the amendment to the Indian Penal Code making the punishment for offences of sexual assault more stringent, the existing law are failing to serve their purpose owing to procedural lapses and gaps in the system it is submitted. The petitioner have also made the following recommendation: make stringent provision of bail for accused in line with provision under enactment like POCSO, PMLA and NDPS. Give rape victim the right to appoint lawyer of their choice, having all powers like that of a defense lawyer by making amendment in Section 301 CRPC. Bringing separate legislation to deal with cases of rape, gang rape with grievous injury or death. providing for fast-track courts for such cases at trial and appellate stage, and the amendment made in Section 173 and 309 CRPC in 2018, changing the provision of right to appeal by giving them only one opportunity of right to appeal, bringing the provision of the reverse onus on the accused. In a hearing on matter of criminal cases against lawmaker, the Apex Court has asked the centre to file details on case against legislators. The bench also stated that it shall supply a copy of a tentative data point stipulating various modalities to various high courts across the country so that the judges of various high courts can collect information accordingly.
The Supreme Court has asked the centre to submit details regarding criminal cases pending against legislators across the country. A bench headed by Justice N.V. Ramanna noted that various high courts have been asking for video conferencing facilities for effectuating disposal of pending criminal cases and asked the centre to take instructions in this regard, particularly in terms of financing. Justice Ramanna said, "The matters which are pending and hanging on the head of the people, you must take a final call and give us. You keep saying we are willing and we want to expedite." The bench also stated that it shall supply a copy of tentative data points stipulating various modalities to various high courts across the country so that the judges of various high court can collect information accordingly. Another concern that the bench expressed is that police in many cases was not enforcing laws as it was afraid of its legislators and that it was more serious matter. Bench asked the centre to look into this issue as well. Solicitor General Tushar Mehta suggested that the top court may issue directions of the DG of police of each state so as to ensure timely summons, etc. in the context. Senior advocate Vijay Hansarya informed the top court that in pursuance of its last order, various high courts had filed their action plan on affidavit, but Justice Ramanna noted that there was no sense of clarity on various issues in the stipulations. The amicus curiae had acted on a direction by the top court in PIL filed by Ashwini Kumar Upadhyay seeking speedy disposal of criminal cases against both former MPs and MLAs, whereby the high courts across the country were directed to compile a list of criminal cases against former and present legislators. Hansarya further informed the court that unfortunately the number of cases pending against legislators had increased despite monitoring, which stood at 4,859 cases in the country. Strict monitoring at the micro level is required, he said. Justice Ramanna further pointed out that even though it had pointed out on the last date that the disposal rate of cases depend on the geographical location of courts, but no court had given any such information or data on record. In this context, the Justice Ramanna stated that the bench had prepared a tentative data sheet stipulating the name of the court, number of cases pending, current number of special courts available, infrastructure requirement, etc. within a format which provides a clarity about what exactly the problem was. The centre sought more time to submit information regarding pending cases and told the bench that information from various stakeholders was awaited. The bench adjourned the court tentatively for 10 days. On September 9th, the top court was informed that criminal cases pending against sitting and former MLAs and MPs are 4,442 in numbers. There are 2,556 accused persons among the sitting legislators. Bureau Report.
And Central Bureau of Investigation has informed the Delhi High Court that the leave to appeal move against the acquittals of A. Raja and others in 2G spectrum case has been filed by the Special Public Prosecutor, who is authorized by the central government. While addressing the single bench of Justice Brijesh Sethi, Additional Solicitor General Sanjay Jain submitted that Special PP Sanjay Bhandari, who has filed the present appeal, has been authorized by the central government to represent CBI before the appellate court in all cases pertaining to 2G spectrum matter. The said submission were made in response to the contention raised by the accused, saying that the present appeal is not maintainable as it is filed without following the proper procedure laid down by the CBI manual. Appearing for CBI, ASG Sanjay Jain produced multiple documents before the court to show that Special PP Sanjay Bhandari, who has filed the present appeal on behalf of the CBI, was duly authorized by the Central to represent CBI in appellate courts with the concurrence of Department of Prosecutions. Delhi High Court has rejected a plea moved by Ashok Arora challenging the decision of the Executive Committee of Supreme Court Bar Association suspending him from the post of Secretary. While refusing to provide relief, the single bench of Justice Mukta Gupta noted that Ashok Arora failed to establish a prima facie case in his favor. On May 8, the Supreme Court Bar Association suspended its secretary, Ashok Arora, with immediate effect after the Executive Committee took this decision in the meeting. This development came soon after Arora had circulated a message among SCBA members in an attempt to convene an emergent general meeting on May 11 to discuss the removal of SCBA President Dushyant Dev from his post for passing a resolution condemning public remarks made by Justice Arun Mishra in praise of PM Narendra Modi. Soon after being suspended, Arora had sent out a message to members of the bar accusing the EC of intimidating him on different occasions and further alleging that Dev conducted that has brought disrepute to the bar. In an extraordinary move, the Bar Council of India intervened in the issue to stay the SCBA resolution suspending Arora. The SCBA responded to this by stating that BCI has no power to control Bar Association. Priyankasinghs and Meetu Singh, deceased actor Sushant Singh Rajput's sister, have filed a writ petition before the Bombay High Court for quashing of FIR filed against them by Mumbai police on actor Riya Chakraborty's complaint. The petitioners have also contended that the FIR against them was clearly a counterblast to the FIR filed against Riya Chakraborty by their father in Patna. The matter came up before the division bench of Justice S.S. Sinde and Justice M.S. Karnik. There is no urgency in the matter. Investigation is on. We do not want to interfere at this stage, Justice Sinde said, directing Advocate Singh to serve CBI and adjourn the hearing to October 13. Petitioner's sister have been booked under Section 420, cheating and dishonesty, inducing delivery of property, 464, making of false document, 465, punishment for forgery, and 466, forgery of a record of court or of public register, 468 of forgery for purpose of cheating, 474 having possession of document, 306 abetment of suicide, and 120B criminal conspiracy of the Indian Penal Code. Resolving the dispute as to current title or properties of the erstwhile ruler of Holkar state Maharaja Yashwant Rao Holkar, the indoor bench of the Madhya Pradesh High Court has held that the title belongs to state of Madhya Pradesh. The bench of Justice S.C. Sharma and Justice Shailendra Shukla has therefore set aside a single bench order which restrained the revenue authorities for entering the name of state of Madhya Pradesh in all properties of the Khasgi Devi Ahilya by Holkar Charity Trust, Indore, to ensure that the properties of the trust are not sold to other persons. The court noted that the Khasgi Devi Ahilya by Holkar Charities Trust, Indore, does not have title of the trust properties and therefore it does not have the power to alienate the trust properties. It further observed that the erstwhile ruler has signed a covenant whereby the title of all properties was transferred to Madhya Bharat, now state of Madhya Pradesh. In a stern order, the Gujarat High Court has expressed its anguish over the inaction of the state on a Muharram procession that took place on 30th of August amid the COVID-19 pandemic, allegedly in violation of COVID-19 safety norms. The bench of Chief Justice Vikram Nath and Justice J.B. Pardiwala was hearing a public interest litigation. The petition that asserted that people in Khambhat had taken out a procession of Muharram on August 30th without heed to notification that specifically barred assembly in large numbers. Remarking that it was short of words to express his anguish, the judges lamented that the person who participated in the procession amid the pandemic not only put their lives in danger but also their family. The bench recorded, in view of the same, the court has now directed for the initiation of an inquiry into the matter with a report of the same to be filed in the court. The collector and district magistrate Anand as well as superintendent of police to file individual reports on the procession and how it took place, despite the guidelines in place. The Uttarakhand High Court has observed that proper medical facilities is one of the fundamental rights of every citizen. Appropriate medical facilities have to be provided by the state. The bench of Acting Chief Justice Ravi Malinamath and Justice R.C. Khulbe was hearing public interest litigation seeking an order to direct the respondent to implement various health schemes as propounded by the state and the centre and other consequential reliefs. On considering the contentions, the court was of the view that in large public interest, the medical facilities throughout the state of Uttarakhand requires to be considered. The court noted establishing appropriate medical facilities also has various problems. It is this issue the state would have to balance, namely the medical facilities to be provided to the public on the one hand and the environment on the other hand, to strike a balance. Court was of the view that the scope of the present petition should cover the entire issue of the medical facilities in the state of Uttarakhand. Therefore, the counsel for the petitioner was instructed to file a list of questionnaires which the court can put to the state in order to elicit answer and particulars of the available facilities. Well, that's all for Courts Roundup today. Thank you for tuning in. Keep watching APN for more updates from around the nation.
India Legal presents Courts Roundup.